Hey, Teddy K here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video review we take a look at the Samsung Galaxy A51, a mid-range smartphone almost entirely aimed at the budget conscious. The Galaxy A51 can best be described as Samsung's budget phone, because that's really who it's aimed for. So if you're looking for an affordable phone, you don't want to break the bank for something that's, like a flagship or something bigger, this is the device that's sort of aimed for a user that really doesn't need everything, nor even want everything. That's not surprising for a phone of this caliber. This is a device that's not necessarily going to offer every single feature. It's going to cut a lot of corners. The chipset that it's using is not very fast. The screen is not as good even as the Galaxy A71. So it is, it's nice, don't get me wrong. It's a nice screen. It'll look better than maybe you think it might, but it's not going to be on par with other Samsung phones. Even the back, the glass thick body, which is actually very similar to the A71, so it's not very different there. No water resistance, no wireless charging. You do get USB-C charging, of course. It can charge pretty quickly, so the battery's fine. This is just basically the phone that you use or that you need for whatever it is that you're just doing, like mixed usage. So messaging, social media, browsing, calls, those sorts of things. Casual games are okay too, but again, anything that's going to be more graphics intensive is not going to work well on this device. The interface itself is going to be familiar because it's obviously using Samsung's One UI, but again, it's not going to be quite as fluid as it is in other phones. The camera, on the other hand, again, you got 4 lenses, which is a surprise for a phone at this level, but again, the results are going to really vary. So for example, if you're shooting in low light or nighttime, the chances of you getting a really great shot are not especially high. They are far better when you're in daylight or in really good lighting. The phone is capable of taking pretty good shots actually in most conditions that are optimal, but even then you may have to tweak things. Like for example, Samsung really kind of blasts the exposure by default. So I would definitely play around with the exposure slider and lower it a little bit just to get a little bit more contrast and detail into the highlights and the shadows, so that you're not looking at a shot that's kind of overexposed, because that tends to be what the software does with this phone. And it's not just this phone. I mean, Samsung has a bit of a tendency to do this with all devices, but here it's a little bit more sensitive. So something that you might want to look at when it comes to taking photos. Don't just snap, just kind of play around with the exposure a little bit. You will find that some of the other modes are in here too, from night mode to live focus. Those are included. Again, it's a lot of trial and error. The good news is that battery life is quite good for a phone like this. Again, because you don't have components that are really taxing it too much, this thing's gonna last a day without any real problem. So if you're looking for I don't know if I'd call it a workhorse, but if you're looking for a device that's not necessarily going to force you to charge it all the time, this is one way to do it. But again, it's largely because you're not going to do the same intense tasks that you might do on a phone that's more capable. And that's my review of the Samsung Galaxy A51. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.